Hello everyone, and welcome back to Battle Rap Resume. This is the seventh episode now, which is kind of unbelievable. It's gone very quickly. It seems like we've been around longer than like a Tay-Rock verse or something. But it's regardless. We've got a few episodes out, and I just want to say thank you to everyone that's been following so far. If you're a new listener as well, you can follow us on Twitter at Battle Rap Resume, all one word. You can also get in contact with the show, get a few emails, one or two emails every couple of weeks, whatever, which is, still growing in the moment, but I really appreciate that. Any things you think about the show, any things you're interested in, anything you just want to talk about, or, that's really interesting. So, battlerapresume@gmail.com is how you can get on there as well. Also the YouTube, which just search Battle Rap Resume. We upload the episodes, host them, which I realise most people listen to that's kind of outdoing the download stats at the moment on iTunes. But I also like to kind of upload interesting videos that interest me, kind of a Minnesota Luke thing, as I've mentioned before with the Press One thing, just the idea of kind of compilations of stuff. I'm trying to gear it more now towards the more British scene. So just recently, at the time of us recording this episode, is the week before Checkpoint with Tenchu and Copyright and all those sort of people, and Shocks and Coma, and obviously Raptor and Soul as well as a title match. So what I've done is I've kind of made like a sort of short history of the Don't Flop title and kind of put a few clips in there and kind of, interesting things that happen, such as something that I forgot actually, that when Tony beats Definition on his first title defense, afterwards Shotty is pulled out of the crowd basically, and announces that they're going to have a battle, and obviously that got postponed for some reason. That was going to be the title match, and then they did it at the MCR versus LDN event, which is a awesome battle. Anyone that says that Tony D didn't win all 3 rounds though is wrong, utterly wrong. But it's fantastic battle. But anyway, check all this out. My guest today is someone that I've been a fan of for a long while, really. Someone who, when I was getting into Don't Flop in the really, really early days, and inevitably, as I said before, you have that kind of, just everyone has the same kind of baptism, it seems, or at least so many people that I've spoken to at events or met subsequently after being into battle, and you've always said, oh yeah, my friend put on Mark Grist Blizzard at a party, or Lunacy at a party, and then, you do what you will with it, really. You can take your own path, which is kind of the beauty thing. You go onto the Don't Flop channel. Even this would have been my second year of university, so even in like 2012, the channel was still bustling. I mean, they've been going for years now, so there's so many videos to check out there, and me and my friends would just go on and just literally pick random battles, and one of the random battles that had just been uploaded was Mos Prob versus Toucan, and we loved it. We thought it was absolutely brilliant. Didn't know who either of these guys was, and from there, really, I was a huge Mos Prob fan. We'll get onto the Toucan battle later, but I just want to welcome, Mos Prob. Welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here. Thank you very much for having me out and about.
Of course. I wanted to just before we get into the battles, I just wanted to ask, it's mentioned a lot in your battles. It's mentioned the Prince Kong battle quite explicitly, and also against Toucan, you mentioned it yourself. Judacris.
Oh God.
Judacris was your alias for like 3 years. How did Judacris start, and then how did Judacris become Mos Prob?
Well, I was when I was sort of at school, I was in quite a lot of bands and stuff, and nothing really ever took up. But I've always rapped since I was like 14. I was writing. I was only listenable for about the last year and a half, but I've always written rhymes and couplets and bars and stuff. And it was my year. I was doing like a year off, just working and traveling and stuff. And while I was back in Essex, it just got really pissing boring. So I just started making some stupid songs with a friend. We were called Sanity Valve, and in fact back then the very, very first record, which has never and will never see the light of day, it was I was called MC Quite Good, and he was called Poontang, but Poon was spelled P-W-N. It was just shitty little songs about Street Fighter and stuff. Yeah. And then it just sort of got out of hand, and I just realised I needed like a card to play or a gimmick, and I just thought, you know what, there's so few Jewish rappers in the UK. I was a comedy rapper anyway. I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna try it.
And was your material kind of driven towards Jew-based content, or was that just part of your character?
Like 1 or 2 songs, but it's like the way. I mean, I'm not religious at all. The way I see my Jewishness is like. It's the same way I wouldn't really rap about the size and shape of my elbows in a track. Like, I probably would, but
shout out Guy Garvey.
Guy Garvey, did he discuss his elbows?
Oh, he's in elbow.
Oh, he's very much shout out to him then. But yeah, like, it's just a part of me that I sort of accept and make jokes about. But I don't really make jokes about the size and shape of my elbow. Yeah, you said before the call you were expecting Tom Waits style band. That's not going to happen. I'm sorry. But yeah, and it just got to a point where we were actually making records in studios, and not like posh studios, but just at our friends' houses and stuff. And yeah, it got to a point where Tom Hines, who's been on Don't Flop a couple times, he basically runs the scene down here. Like most of the rappers around.
Who was he on?
He was Heinzie Hines. He was in a lot of the early ones. He did some freestyle stuff against started out at Heinz's night, like freestyling and stuff. And he just sat me down one day and just said, "Look, lose the stupid outfits and the plastic chain, and for God's sake, change your name from Judicrous, and there's something there." And I was just like, okay. And I was just like, I'll just name myself after a non-Jewish parody of a rapper. And then that kind of carried a lot further than I was expecting. I've only just really dropped the name Mos Prob, so it's carried me for like 6-7 years.
Well, it's funny that you posit yourself as a comedy rapper there, because during your tryout, as it were, your PG, whatever these things are, against Mark Grist.
He spends his drab existence snapping pictures of whippersnappers, Grist the panty sniffer, the nappy fister, the Gary Glisser. Whoa! Just ask Mark Grist last class if they passed it without his arm and fist being so far in them their arse split.
Obviously, huge name. When the kind of Mount Rushmore of Don't Flop is eventually chiseled, there'll definitely be Mark Grist's face on there. I mean, he's, regardless of style or just influence and in terms of kind of renown that he's brought the league. But, this is April Fool's 2011, and says himself that apparently in 2011, battle rap had gotten far too serious. So he was bringing it back to comedy. I mean, did you know about Don't Flop coming up to this? Well, obviously you would have known about Don't Flop, but how long were you a fan, and were you craving that tryout for a while, or was battle rap still something new?
Well, I've said this has brought up a lot in my battles as well. I got to it. One of my friends made me watch PH versus Dumbfounded, which was on the old Grind Time channel.
Oh yeah.
And it was, to be honest, that was my introduction to battle rap, and it was very, very jokey. There's some legitimately brilliant jokes that stand up even now, like "You're so old, you were in the world's first silent battle." It's so simple, but it's just and like, so that was my introduction. Was through jokes, and it was only through that. Like, if I watched a couple of the old jump off things, and they were all kind of freestyled and aggressive and that, and I was like, fair enough. But the people from through the Brighton scene, you sort of see jokey rappers, or like more jokey rappers like Professor Elemental and stuff, come up through Brighton, and there's definite characters here, and through seeing that, and through seeing PH and Dumbfounded, and sort of getting into O'Shea and Calcium Kid and Stowaway and Ricky Riley, who were all really active at the time I got into it. I sort of realised there was a platform for me within battle rap, and it just the whole notion of obviously in America, where hip hop started, and there were battles that would break out in the Bronx and stuff. That's how all the greats got their name, and it was just a weird phenomenon to me that it had sprung up in the UK and took a really different, like, idiosyncratic shape. So I studied it for my dissertation. I scraped a 2-1 with it, so I was really happy with that. And I interviewed her, and the whole thing was seeing how Er's language changed from outside a battle to inside a battle, and what that sort of said about the social transaction that happened during a battle, and what you needed, the rhetoric that you would use to win the respect of the room, and what the respect of the room meant. And it sort of interested me. I always relied on the feedback of a room when I was doing comedy rap. And that laughter just meant that I'd done some work right. So I was already used to, like, having to garner that reaction, whereas rappers who had done verses get some, like, screw faces and some nods, but aren't really expecting like a riotous reaction to a bar and people to start slapping each other in the crowd and stuff. So yeah, I was really amped up to do a battle, and that was the day of the Mark Grist battle was the day I interviewed her for the dissertation.
Interesting. Yeah, well, it's funny. It's funny you talk about the comedy, because you definitely have a great personality, and that comes across in the battle. And even when you do have slight chokes, stumbles, we'll call them. I wouldn't really call them chokes. You just carry it. Like, people are still laughing. There's no awkward silences. There's no kind of and you're grasping for a bar or something to rhyme with the last bar, and you've already had that rhyme scheme 2 or 3 lines, so it's getting bored already. Like, you deliver really well, and I think this is I think for a tryout, it's got like I was watching it today. It's got like almost 120,000 views. Obviously, the Mark Grist factor, no doubt. But just coming into this, were you aware of Mark Grist at all? I appreciate he wasn't the sort of spoken word hero that he was and is now, but I mean, was he a figure for you?
I mean, he wasn't a figure. I met him up at the Edinburgh Fringe the year before. I was doing the comedy rap stuff up there, and it was on a very similar vein of things. Like, I got to know him and Mixty a little bit, and they were great guys. And I saw their show, yeah. and obviously loved it. It was right on my street. And then there were a few names thrown about before Mark Grist. I know I tried to get Professor Elemental involved, but he's just too damn nice. And Suave Debonair, who is like a rapper down here. Right. He's never been in the battle scene, and nearly was him. And then Mark Grist came up. I was like, oh well, I met him at the Fringe last year. He's a really interesting guy. I didn't hold him up on any kind of pedestal until halfway through the battle, when it was like, okay, I'm getting face fucked here. But
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that was my first battle and my first proper experience choking. I forgot bars at gigs all the time because we were hopelessly underprepared as an act. But it was my first proper staring at the floor, so this is what it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I don't think it's too bad. It's not kind of a I'm trying to think of some famous chokes out there. They're kind of, ironically, I'm choking. Yeah. I'm trying to think.
No,
of
it was
jokes.
Bad. It was bad. I've been papering over my own inadequacy for years, so it was just a natural step up to do that in front of a crowd, a baying mob.
Well, it's interesting how things come full circle, because you start off saying hi, Mark, in a kind of reference to the room, and then in your most recent battle, you do a scheme for the room. So that was just a kind of nice bit of serendipity there. But I mean, as is don't flop in these early years, you go in on the rude tip. That's kind of the way of getting your message across. So, like you say, you speak about meeting Mark Grist at the Fringe, but you immediately go into saying how you were fucking his mother. My semen clung to her face like a tongue tumor, and you had a poo in her teeth. So it's just kind of throwing out those kind of this kind of broad attacks, and then you have a very Mos Proby line, a line that kind of would sit in the Ogmios battle, where you just it's unnatural to have quavers for hair.
It wouldn't sit in the Ogmios. He has an Easter egg for hair.
Yes, but I mean, it had that abstraction, it's just that kind of it's just a line. It's just a kind of, throwing it out, they're cutting it down the middle. And it's funny because there's no second camera. This is obviously very, very early Don't Flop. So the camera actually turns right and looks at Mark's head for a second. So we can appreciate his quaver-like head, which is great. It's great when a bar forces the camera to move. And, just coming out with a really sort of solid grasp of rapping, of the writing of it, but great flow as well. And you bring it back to the Fringe as well. You're kind of your meeting place, your proving grounds, as you were, and you talk about every night I was selling out every night in the spaces. You were rating waste things to a vacant basement. I didn't have to pay shit. That show was free Fringe. You can't babysit the audience and pay them to stay seated, which I really like. And then we end with some incest. You speak about Mark wanking in the bath, thinking of his aunt. So we kind of have this thing here.
It's not incest if the balls don't touch.
That's true. That's a good rule to live by. And Mark, I mean, he's very teachery. I don't know if you noticed. I watched his back. He gets heckled quite a bit, actually. Pretty much every round ends with someone shouting, "All right, teacher," or something like that. You know what I mean? Go on, teach. People clearly, I mean, fair enough. He's in a suit. It's a little bit more of a, maybe back then even more so than we live in these kind of post-daylight days. But Mark is placing us firmly in the 2011 upload date. He references not only the Xbox Connect,
oh my god,
but Rebecca Brack as well, which throws us back. We got our first viewing of something in your arsenal, your flip ability. I mean, it's not necessarily the greatest flip. I think you have some brilliant flips we're going to get onto. This is, it's early days. You basically, Mark had said in his first round that you were kind of working in a bank or something to that extent, and you say, I don't work in banking, I work for the NSPCC, and we're watching you take it easy, G. I mean, flipping, what is that for you? Is that something that you're just formulating as you listen to the round? Do you just do it if you need to? Or?
I think, again, this goes back to Tom Hines. I'm always going to speak highly of him. He's a fucking visionary in Brighton, but his night was, but it was a open mic in the truest sense. Like, it was freestyle, and you had to get up there, and if you were shit, you'd either get, parred off by someone else, or you would get heckled off. I had the mic snatched from me at points. I was so bad. But I don't know, I felt that tumbling through branches, but finally grabbing something listenable and like approachable, was for me like I'd never had that. I didn't have that. I play instruments and stuff, but I'm not particularly great at like improvising solos or anything like that. Sure. So for me, this was like the first time I landed. I think the moment I actually learned to freestyle was it was again at a don't flop like tournament. They used to do these freestyle tournaments, but this was before it was even filmed or on the channel. This was just like a tournament for cash at this open mic night, and I threw myself in there almost as a joke. Like, this is before battling. Like, I wasn't really known. I was sort of a figure of ridicule in the community. Doesn't make it any easier to digest if I say it again. But I was drawn out in the first round against Adam the Rapper, who was exactly the opposite. And you've just heard this ooh, like it wasn't even like a ooh, it was like a this is just not going to be good to watch. And I fucking ruined him. It was like I've never like the actual. I still remember Endless. I'm quite good mates with Endless now, and he I remember his face on the day. He was like, okay, this guy actually means business. I got eliminated in the next round, no problem, but I was drawn against Hines, and then my next round would have been so it was literally just like an unwinnable tournament for me at that stage. But like it was the time I got used to losing admirably, and that was when I really sort of. So with battling, it's much easier. You don't have to think of like 8 punchlines in a row to a rhythm over the beat. You've got a whole round to pick up something they've said. So it's as soon as you have the punchline, you just work out the filler line. I've got quite a good head for like it's how syllables match together, and it was that easy, and it just got such a good reaction every time. I was just like, I'm really going to try and hone this part of what I do, because it's just there's not enough of it anymore. It's even at that stage in battling, it was a lot of writtens and it's really good. That spontaneity really gets people. So I wanted to tap into that a little bit.
You use it to. We'll get on to Loch Ness Lee. But yeah, there's some crazy flips through your catalogue. And just quickly as well, if no one's seen this battle, it's probably worth pointing out that Mark Grist kind of does what a lot of spoken word battlers do, especially in their early battles. They'll write 2 battle rounds, and then their third round is essentially a spoken word poem that is battle sharpened. So it's basically a gimmick in a good way. It's not a bad round. Grist basically says that he's going to take you down with a single vowel, and he uses an entire scheme. His entire round has words with an O in them. That's his kind of rule, which doesn't. I kind of see what he's Mos Prob. I kind of get it, But writing it out. So I mean, here's a taster of what it is. It's basically like it's not that intelligent or anything. Mos Prob follows Goon. Oh, and also you forget how rude Mark Grist was as well, or at least I did.
He was a cheeky one.
Yeah, he was dirty. This guy was really dirty. I mean, I remember like in the Blizzard battle, he talks about Blizzard's mom sloshing like a Doberman or something like that.
Slobbering like a Doberman, yeah.
That's right, yeah. But watching this, none of these lines were coming to my head unless I rewatched it. So he says, Mos Prob follows Goons down to lose. Keep in mind, these are all O words. Controls the frob of knob, just how mom taught Prob, how Prob's mom's, how Mos Prob's mommy does, or whatever. And it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. I mean, comparing it to a battle that hasn't came out yet, but probably might be out when this drops. Ambi Bobby Rex. Bobby Rex is a really exciting newcomer, and he basically does a whole round of kind of, he's using the acronym of AMBI to kind of construct this whole round, just kind of reminding me of that stuff. But when you put that on paper, when you put that Mos Prob follows Goons, etc., visually it's quite exciting because it's just got this constant O in it, and it's got these constant holes in the page, and it's quite weird to look at, which made me think that it was more of a poem. It definitely works better when you're seeing it. When you're listening to it, it's just not that sharp of writing to work, but inevitably, Grist definitely takes that round, and he does win, even though I don't think you perform badly at all. I think you have a lot of character, as I said, a lot of persona. But I mean, how are you feeling? Was victory an important thing, or was it more like, oh, I've got the battle out the way, it's going to be uploaded, at least I've got that?
I think I wasn't really thinking too much in terms of the outcome. Of course, I wanted to win. I wanted them, bragging right. I'm not very competitive in, I never did sports, or I'm not particularly, confrontational at all. Probably comes across, but like, I was like, maybe I stand a chance of winning this, and obviously it just wasn't that day. I got a bit, a little bit out of sorts the night before, so that may have had something to do with it. Sure. But it was a really good way to be introduced to the whole environment. I've been to a couple of events, obviously, but to do it as a battler, it was good. And it's like the whole thing I did as a writing exercise. I never went in there expecting to be like this all crushing behemoth of a battler. I just wanted to go in and sharpen up my writing and learn to link topics together. And I think I look back at the Mark Grist battle, and I think in terms of like some of the cheaper mum jokes, and like you said, the gross stuff, I think that's something I more or less dropped after a couple of battles, because it gets old after a while. It's why as much as like I enjoy battling Big J or like Enigma, it's why I don't. It's only when they're a little bit off kilter and weird, which is quite rare, that I've actually been considered them fully in my top 10 or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not very. I mean, it was a long time ago. It introduced me to Mark and to Pete Cashmore, who both remain friends to this day. They were both at my wedding.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it was a really good time to meet people, and it was in a weird way, one of the more important days of my life. It started a lot of. A whole chapter of my life started with that day. That's all. That's what I take from it. People always come back to me and go that this is going disastrously is like my quote, which is just like the amount of months, literal months, that you put into writing like however many battles it is you end up doing, and it's like not even a freestyle, but like covering up and.
But it's just that self-awareness that you have that is so good. I mean, it happens in the Soul battle. No, sorry, in the Ogmios battle, where someone says like, "Say it again," and you're like, "I will." Or something. I
wanted to start a 2-on-2 team with G Dash after that so much. That would have been. Can you imagine that 2-on-2? That's the best.
Invincible,
unbeatable, mate. Just
Sue Surf, Tay-Rock, who?
Yeah, Sue Surf, Tay-Rock versus G Dash and Mos Prob set it up.
So I mean, it's interesting you speaking about that kind of the form of communique of kind of centering on sexual jokes, or kind of the don't flop. It seems like so many battles in early don't flop concern fanny cheese, and it just gets mentioned a lot. I don't really know why. I hadn't really heard that phrase before or after don't flop, but it's concatenated from a lot of those early battles. And one of the greatest purveyors of that is the man Bowski.
Here's my silly face for YouTube. This is for all my subscribers. Used to. Hold it down. I bummed your mum, it was fun, there was cum. I only used one rap scheme because I am rotund and a bit of a cunt. And here's an improbable anecdote about how I'm your actual dad, except I can only express it using rapping that's bad.
Big battler for Don't Flop, who now I believe is King of the Rolls affiliated. I think him and her had some beef or something. I'm not really sure what happened there. But we come to Midsummer Murders against Brighton against Bowski. Obviously, you had a loss before this to Zane.
Yeah, I hadn't won by that point. That was and yeah, I didn't really think I lost to Zane. No, I think it was Possessed gave him like the third vote on the accent, and I was just like, I mean, again, it didn't matter to me. I got to turn up in a stupid shit suit and say some actually kind of appallingly racist stuff. When I look back on it, I was just again, those are the two battles I look back on. I'm not happy with my level of adult communication in this, but
no, but I think this battle is really good. The quality of writing is a huge leaps and bounds beyond the Grist and Zayn Azro battle, and we have some again similar with the Xbox Connect. We just there's certain figures here in the videos that place it in a certain time of Don't Flop.
Yeah.
We have Prince Kong with his Nuts T-shirt. We have with Gizmo explaining that most of the crowd had been up all night before. It looked like quite nice. You were kind of in like a sort of pub garden that was slightly decaying, but still quite kind of had a vibe.
Oh yeah, and that like, it was my first battle in Brighton. It was obviously my home crowd, and it was just a really lovely day. It was just absolutely gorgeous outside. I remember going straight from that to do like a little beach gig type thing, and it was just that was just a really cool day from start to finish. And like I remember the cameraman as well was someone I was friends with at the time, like just from university. He'd just been paid by Gizmo to do the Don't Flop events. I was sort of surrounded by people that I really liked and knew very personally. So it was an absolutely wonderful environment to battle in.
Yeah, and it's a great battle. I mean, you kind of I always love the start of your first. It's just a really creative way of putting it across. But basically, you start by saying you have mad beef with Bowski. You go on to insult him. He feels at home in a rectum. And then, where the fuck is my beef? I swear you leave him and food alone for a second. So the idea that he's stolen your metaphorical grudge, I thought was brilliant. And, it's Bowski. It's fat jokes. But these are really inventive fat jokes that get a huge reaction. You start off with he's a huge guy, triple XL, are too tight. Every time you go for a morning stroll, your shoes cry. Hush puppies move and hide to survive, just praying that it'll choose the Nikes. Just the idea of it, I always love that, of his soul's just kind of, scurrying away from Bowski. It's brilliant. And he, comes with more kind of, he talks of poo a lot. He talks of eating your leg if you put hot sauce on it. Every time, best line, every time he walks by the fridge, he declares armistice. Which is fantastic. Like you're writing for these battles. This is your third battle. You're going after the win. You're more urgent in your sense. What is your writing, technique like? What is your style? Do you put all the notes down? Do you do round by round? Or
it depends. I think at that stage, certainly between the Bowski battle and I would honestly say about the Soul battle, it would be like intruding on my everyday life. Like I would just be doing something and I would see a word and the multi would appear, and then I'd just like write it down, or often forget, and then accidentally think of another thing that was a multi of that, and just be like, that rhymes with that thing I completely forgot. Like it was a really haphazard process. I think you can tell the rounds that I sat down to write all in one go, like as a chain of thought, and you can tell the ones that are like disparate jokes that I just sort of threw together. Again, I wrote it as jokes, and I just wanted to. I didn't really want to be gross with it. I sort of got past that a little bit. I mean, I still, you've got to put a little bit of gross in there.
There's a little bit,
but I just wanted to have like everyday objects involved, and like, give things characters that. You're not actually laughing at Bowski, you're laughing at the concept of a shoe crying, which is, I think that's really, I really like seeing that with other battlers. With Carter Deans is my absolute god for that kind of thing. I mean, but you'll be laughing at the fact he's boasting about having 2 microwaves rather than addressing the person. But, obviously I was using it to address the person, but it could have been any fat guy that those bars were about. I just want, I think it just... I don't think there's any battle that is a massive improvement in writing over the last one. I think you can see the writing grow pretty organically. Like there's not like anything, and even between their battle, like I know there was 6 months between my Bowski battle and my Toucan battle. You can't really see much difference in the writing. Maybe the multis or the actual rapping ability had come on a bit, but the actual writing and core material hadn't, it was. I think it was a pretty steady growth.
Definitely. That's what I find so fascinating about your sort of personal development. To go from, okay, we are taking a huge leap in this point, but just for argument's sake, to go from say the Bowski battle to the stuff you were writing in the Ogmios battle, it's huge. Like just in terms of density and attack, you seem to have really studied the game, and because you were, if I'm correct in saying, you were writing for a blog as well, a fairly well-known battle blog.
Yeah, I wrote for battlerapresume for about a year and a half. I was running the Don't Flop block as well for a little bit.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you are. So back when Don't Flop used to do those kind of staff things at the start of videos, I remember seeing you in that, and I was like, oh, what's he do? Oh, right, cool. Yeah, of course he writes the blogs.
Yeah, I mean, I came into it from a point of studying, so I was always like breaking down what I was actually saying and what the other person was likely to say to me. Like I'm very much playing out every scenario and seeing what happens, and very often I completely misjudged Ogmios off the back of the Adam the Rapper battle, like but you have to. It's also like if you're going against Bowski, no discredit to him, I absolutely love him, and at that stage of his career, he was going to come with Jew jokes, he was going to come with poo jokes, because Jew and poo happen to rhyme with each other.
What a gift to Bowski.
I know, but he's come on a hell of a long way since then, as well. Yeah. But he, at the same time you can sort of try and predict that and forestall it, you also know that you can kind of keep it silly and a bit vague, and as long as you're inventive, it's it's going to get the job done. It's still going to make an entertaining battle.
Totally, and Bowski, that's not. He has this odd thing in his repertoire as well, where he'll go like horrorcore for a little bit as well, and he gets like oddly violent in his seconds, sort of talking about breaking the water of your bitch all over your dead daughter. And I was like, when I was watching that, I was like, okay, fair enough. He calls you the Jewish Howard the Duck, as is to be expected.
I wasn't expecting a Jewish Howard the Duck line. I'm not.
Well, yeah, no, not Howard the Duck, no, but the prefix more. Larry David as well, you get compared Naturally. To. Better ease off with your enthusiasm, or I'll stomp your head on the curb. It's like, yep, okay, that's curb enthusiasm bar there. In your second, you mentioned something that I looked up that was quite interesting. You speak about Southend, where you grew up, the only team in the world with a 100% record against Manchester United. And which is an interesting little factoid there, little opta Joe. I looked that up, and this happened Tuesday, the 7th of November 2006. And yeah, Southend beat Man United 1-0. They pulled off this is a BBC Sport, a massive shock by dumping holders Man U out of the Carling Cup. And obviously, the reason you were saying this was Bowski's like a big Man U fan, I believe.
He's like from Manchester. I just put two and two.
Yes,
he'd probably stand a better chance of being a Man U fan if he was from like Korea or something.
That's true.
But yeah, I bring that up with every Man U fan, and every Man U fan I say is like, no, mate, 100% true. Fuck Manchester United in the eyes.
Right. And fuck the obnoxious people on holiday, because the person that you described Bowski as in the second round, we all know them. We all seen them on these kind of 18 to 30 kind of holidays. The guy on, you compare basically this long scheme, which is really, really funny, about him being the guy on holiday who eats all the food at the buffet and sings karaoke terribly. And it's just a really well-developed narrative, this kind of little microcosm that gets a huge laugh. I mean, the crowd it's hometown crowd, but it's really good stuff. It's getting a really good reaction as well. And then you end with just, like we're saying, like a kind of pooey sex joke, where just you kind of like, almost like a little flash grenade right at the end. Also, like a PS, your mom's your dad, your knob's your face, fuck you. And it just has this blunt force that's really satisfying. I've watched that battle 3 or 4 times now, making the notes, and every time I see that line, I just kind of pause and just kind of take notes.
That was satisfying to see. Imagine how satisfying that was to say.
Oh my god! Oh
man, I felt I grew an extra 5 chest hairs in that moment. It was so cool.
Well, you kind of have a sequel to that in the second, where you explicitly attack not just Bowski for his weight, but Bowski for his kind of demeanour and in his vocal pretensions. And you start, saying like, oh, what a smelly, and he's like, shut up, you prick. Like, the break is hilarious. You just kind of like, you're sort of saying what we're all thinking. You're pulling down the shroud, just like, stop talking about fanny cheese. Like, it's almost a kind of fuck you to a lot of these battlers of that era. But yeah, it's kind of, and then you go on about him addressing the camera as well, which is quite a little personal thing that's really good, because he obviously does that quite a bit in this battle as well. And unsurprisingly, you take the win pretty cleanly. It must have felt good to finally got a win after putting in all the effort on these 3 battles.
Oh, 100%. It was something by that point. I wasn't really... It was actually the last battle that came out before I met my wife. And it was just like at that point where, I don't know, it was like the battle I was like showing girls to try and impress them, and it never really 100% worked. But yeah, it was really gratifying, and it was like a sign that I knew I sort of had the advantage because it was a hometown. I knew like it was just going to be, it had the potential to be a really good moment, and like battle rap or anywhere you are, there's no point wasting those moments. And I think I knew that the whole writing process. I just wanted to have a really good day. And yeah, it was good, and I think I was bolstered by a lot of my friends being in the room, which was like the first time that had ever really been the case. And also again with like the whole, I was pushed around lyrically at Slip Jam, which is Tom Hines' open mic night thing. So I had a lot to gain in, like, not on Don't Flop terms, I mean also on Don't Flop terms, but also like just locally. I wanted to show that I could actually make a bit of a mark and put on a really good show, and it was it was my opportunity, and I took it, and I had Lose Yourself playing in my head for most of it, and it was awesome. And then Bowski fell asleep on the train back, so then ended up coming all the way back to Brighton, and then had to pay again for a coach, so I technically won twice.
So we move on into your next battle. Actually, you were saying before that you had quite a long break before this. This is often a complaint, not with Don't Flop, I suppose, but it must be with other battle leagues as well. Don't Flop tried to remedy it last year because they have so many battlers on the roster now, and so many people want to battle. So they had quite a few training days events last year where they kind of could put slots in for free events and stuff that are quite quick to put together. Yeah. Was it a case of just in these early days of Don't Flop, was it just less frequent events, or was it more, there was still events, but it was so sought after back then, wasn't it? It was just such a hot thing.
I mean, this was right after Grist. This was when, like, I battled, Toucan was in the same crop as like C Major and Ogmios and Enigma, and it came like that bolstered that whole kind of year for battle rap. So right after I battled Bowski, all of these really good newcomers came through, and they had to cultivate that. I understand it, but I still, it wasn't, I don't have uni work to focus on and that, so I was never like butthurt about it, but I really wanted a battle, and I just said to her, like, give me anyone, and I hadn't seen the Toucan battle. It was just like, I know there's finally a kid who's rapping that's scrawnier and nerdier and more awkward than I am. Yes. I'm just gonna go to town. So yeah, that was, I think that definitely drove me to want to win. Like, that was the first battle I went into. It's like, I don't know this guy, I'm just gonna make his whole day just unbearable. I'm gonna give him PTSD.
You're a fucking dickhead. Until someone shaved off each of the sides, and with hipster goggles to emphasise your beady ass eyes, if your Mohican survived, you look like Jack 5 from Tekken on a bulimia height.
You begin with "Let's do a word fight." That's going to do a little intro, which we were discussing a little earlier. Is kind of a good slogan. It's quite a funny one nonetheless. Toucan in his intro says just says that he has no friends looking for the bigger.
I was just like, what are you doing?
I like that though. I did like that level. Like, I saw it as kind of wry almost, but I don't know if it was. But
he at that point, I rate Toucan more highly than most people rate him as a human being and as just a rapper in general. I think he makes some bad decisions.
Right.
But he's...
So yeah, you and he's been mentioned with you since. He's kind of seems to be a kind of thing that people attack. So you and him, have you worked together since then?
I want to produce him an album this year, because he's been doing a lot of this jokey, like, I go out and have parties, and I was like, no, you don't. You play Magic the Gathering. But he was invited to my wedding. He then couldn't make it because he had to wipe old people's asses as an emergency thing. I was at his wedding, and we're in constant contact. He's a close friend of mine. I was one of his wedding party. He's one of the first people that was like my kind of age that I really, really bonded with, and would want to work with. But obviously he definitely, and this is, we both knew it at the time given the outcome of the battle, but he definitely had some work to do before I would have, because I was involved in so much other stuff, before I would have considered teaming up with him. And then obviously we did. But yeah, like he's still one of my closer friends, so it's why we always get lumped in together. But yeah, at the time he was absolutely hopeless. And he's very open about that as well. He can't watch that battle.
Yeah, it's. There's a huge gulf between yours and his rounds. You say in the battle that you waited 6 months for this, and this is basically what you get. You say that you look like Blizzard and Mark Grist, which is pretty funny. So, that battle was kind of how I get into Don't Flop. So that was kind of, I think I just was getting into it as it got uploaded. Was it a big hit from day dot then?
It was at that stage where battles were consistently getting 35 to 45,000 views, even with the newer people. It took a little while to get to that, because again, I hadn't, I'd won one battle and then not been around for 6 months, so it was kind of starting afresh. And he was very, there were no videos of him out at the time when that battle happened, so it was like I don't think it was going to be an instant smash hit, but it was what it was always. I always wanted it to be, was that sleeper hit of the event, where people go, oh yeah, the headline clash was amazing, which it wasn't because Sketch was involved. Do you remember Sketch?
Yeah, he teamed up with Sense.
He was bad, I wanted to be mentioned alongside one other battle as the thing they took away from the event, and I think it was certainly a success on that front, but I don't think it was the viral sensation. I don't think I was going to become the next Luna or whatever, but
no. Wasn't that wasn't there a doubles battle at that event as well with Mark Grist and Mixie and Pamphlet and Pedro?
That's when Pedro went in on the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah.
Man, being in that room afterwards.
And Mark Grist has the flip and Pedro has that line where he's you're like a Hurricane Katrina victim because a blizzard changed your life. I'm like, you just called it a hurricane. There's a difference, but regardless, shout out Pedro.
Shout out to him every time. I worship Pedro.
Yeah, me too. He's literally never changed his style.
Not once. It's fucking amazing.
And he just became lauded. It's sort of 2015.
We all caught up.
Yeah, and then it's mad, isn't it? So just really, really funny first round. I think I mentioned before in the intro the love this battle, and when you shake his hand, it's really nice to meet you. I'm lying. Timing in that is fantastic. It's hilarious. Really, really good. Women I know are attracted to my dulcet tones instantly. Women lack pulses and dignity, which is a killer 1-2 punch. His face looks like a melted dick.
It does Look closely. You'll see the outline of the frenulum and everything.
Facts. Toucan is a little wordy, but not even interesting or verbose. It's just he's just using literally too many words, not enough punches.
One thing I always love about that battle, which I can't believe I didn't flip, but he was like, I didn't come here on that Mark Grist 1-syllable tip, and then he proceeds to only use 1-syllable rhymes for the entire battle, which I wish I'd seen that. That's one of those look back and think, if I'd picked up on that, I wouldn't have had to do the second 2 rounds. I could have just left. Yeah, it was that he just I'm watching his whole performance. I know how good he is as a wordsmith, as an author and poet, and even now as a rapper, man. The stuff he's actually writing now that he's writing meaningful stuff is just almost unparalleled.
I need to check out some of his stuff. He's very likable. I do like him on stage, but it's just not his best.
No,
material,
not at all. It was he just buried himself instantly.
Yeah, and he makes some weird choices as well in his third, where he goes. We're talking about Bowski going horrorcore. He goes really horrorcore. There's a good punch at the end, but it's long form, and you can tell the crowd are getting restless and slightly disturbed when he's talking about your sister, and then he talks about hypothetically, your sister is a sort of whatever, and cracking her rib, leaving her in a ditch with pneumonia. Making her come so much that she becomes obsessed with him, basically. So it's kind of this horrible Cockholm syndrome, if you will, which is really remote and weird. She eventually goes to hospital dying, and she's been rubbing her clit till it's a blister. This is all Toucan, by the way. Till he's rubbing her clit till it blister and it bleeds. It basically ends with him scarring your sister's heart so much she fucks herself to death. And then he basically kind of smacks her around in hospital and says, I only fucked you to set up a good punchline. it's a little misguided.
You know
perhaps.
what? He's one of the loveliest guys ever. But he did
seems
not
it.
like. I think my dad's seen that battle and had like severe words with me about just battle rap in general, and I was just like, no, it's this like big metaphorical sister, but that doesn't make it any easier for the guy that birthed the two of us.
No,
to
of course.
He held us in his womb for 12 months. Yeah, like it was just completely, and obviously it was his second battle. He, had quite a weird battle in the first one against Ropey Row, and he was just like, just finding his style, but trying everything, but literally everything to the point where it was just wildly inconsistent. Like first round, he was saying he's the nicest rapper ever, and the second one, he's like just desecrating my sister's life, and it just there was no. It was just like he had a mountain to climb after that battle.
Yeah.
Definitely, like he definitely set himself into that really. From that point onwards, it was difficult for him, getting battles and coming back from that.
And you just attack him really well throughout. Talk about if his Mohican survived, you look like Jack 5 on a bulimia hype, which is a nice little Tekken reference, and also similar to the kind of more abstract lines that you go for, sort of like the quavers, the hair quavers sort of thing. For me, you're just an inconvenience, like someone sneaking in my room and stealing my knees at night. That would fucking suck.
Legitimately, I wouldn't like that. I don't think you would like that.
No,
I certainly think Toucan wouldn't like that.
No, no, he wouldn't. And you talk about it looks like someone poured bleach on your life, which I really like as well. And this is obviously a clear victory. And I mean, coming out of this again, you kind of compounding on that. This is 2 victories in a row. I'm just checking your thing now. We're going on, a few more battles. We're going to kind of skip ahead now, but you're just feeling more comfortable. And looking like 2012 for you in terms of uploads was a big year. You started in May, so started quite late, but got another 7 battles coming out. Okay, 2 are on Barmageddon, but still, you're being a lot more productive.
Don't knock Barmageddon, man. Like
Big up Wolvo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, 2012 and 2013, I think of as like my years in battle rap. Like the first one was sort of getting to know it, and then so I won 4 battles I think in 2012. Like I just don't know what happened. I couldn't stop winning, and then as of about 2013, the winning just stopped. But I actually gave better performances. Which I was actually happier with. I didn't want to win battles on I don't think I ever gave a fast performance, but I didn't want to win battles on just the merit of the other person not quite coming up to it, or but yeah, 2012 was a massive year for me battle wise.
Yeah, it was some fantastic stuff in there. You've got Prince Kong clash. Stowaway at the Fringe. Were you at the Fringe for anything of your own there, or were you just there to battle for Don't Flop?
Yeah, we had a show called A Kick in the Teeth. I was in a sketch group at the time doing like the soundtracks and the background music.
Awesome.
And yeah, like it was towards the end of the Fringe. We'd had the battle from. I had an offer to battle him in Manchester on the way back from the Fringe, and then Don't Flop were coming to the Fringe, and he said he was happy to go there straight from I think from Reading Festival. So that was, I've always looked up to Stowaway. Like there would literally have been no window into battle rap if I didn't know Stowaway existed. But yeah, I was up there anyway. It was like a massive ball ache to have to write this battle. On top of the Fringes, I don't think people quite realise if they don't go to the Fringe on a regular basis how draining an experience it is of its own accord. But I'd done 2 shows the year before, so I was ready to do other stuff alongside that. But yeah, I also wrote way too much material for Stowaway because it was Stowaway. I didn't want to blow my shot.
No, I think you're right though about the draininess of the drainage of the Fringe. Like if you look at both of Mark Grist's battles, I can't quite remember who he does a doubles battle against with Mixie, but he battled Soul as well, and he just looks white.
He was taking 2 battles at the end of your biggest Fringe. It is the most stupid thing you can do. He admitted he just shouldn't have done it. I mean, he maybe could have taken one of those battles and gotten through it, but taking 2 was just. I mean, he knew he had a following there at the Fringe anyway. he was obviously a massive draw, and it's obviously something he was very much into exploring still. So, you know, and when you've got a show to promote, you want a room full of people at a free gig cheering at things you've said. Like, it's great promo at the Fringe, but it was at the end, so it didn't really have much of an impact on you know, the show. And it was just by that point there was just no. I did the Fringe as a performer 3 times. Did it for the full month each time, and it is just by the first 2 weeks are the best experience of your life. The second 2 are just amongst the most horrible, and that's when we both had the battle. But he didn't fare very well up there. But yeah, again, we were all sort of doing our own thing, and that was the first time I met Harry Baker as well, and he's just a gentleman. So
yeah, lovely guy. I hope he's getting on the show soon. He has said that he wants to come on. But yeah, I think he battled Double L. I think that was his tryout, or in as many words. But yeah, so we move on to one of your best battles. Absolutely brilliant battles. An opponent who seems to engender the best. People seem to really want to write for this guy because, I mean, he, in my eyes, truly is one of the best on Don't Flop. Like,
worldwide.
Ogmios, of course.
See, when I slow it down, it's on irrelevant themes. When he slows it down, you'll never leave.
Great Og, who is just one of the most original, captivating figures in battle rap. The guy is just a fantastic writer. So, I mean, coming into this, Ogmios, you say, was coming off the Adam the Rapper battle. This is quite a big clash for you. Looking through your kind of past battles, you hadn't really gone up against a writer, and obviously you are kind of clearly got, you know, self-styled writing tendencies as well. How are you feeling coming into this? This is a big step up.
You know what? At the time, I sort of had a massive upheaval in my life. Like I had battles, quite a few battles that I dropped out of towards the end of the year before. So it was coming back to it after a few months off. Ogmios was like he was like good, and he had traction, but he wasn't at the scale he's at now. No. You know, going into it, I was like, I've been in for a little bit longer, but he'd maybe climbed a bit faster. So I sort of saw us as kind of at a comparable level. And you know, 2012 was obviously a great year for me as well. So I wasn't like, oh man, it's Ogmios. Like I only felt that after the battle and during the battle, and I wish he'd given me some warning of how good he was planning to be. But you know, I didn't. It was actually one of the battles I was least nervous for, and probably least justified in feeling that.
And this sort of environment, the kind of pit environment, the Fiddler's Elbow, you know, the classics. How many classic Don't Flop battles have gone down in this venue?
Oh, man.
I mean, is this where you feel most comfortable? You seem to be playing to the crowd so well. Like, the vibe to this battle is sensational. The atmosphere is brilliant.
You know what? I think that was the Set the Standard events. I don't think that was anything to do with the venue. I bombed in that venue. My first battle was like, I had created a jinx in that venue almost for me. Right. So I just the environments of those events, like Soul was at a Set the Standard battle as well. It was just they were so. It wasn't like the big sort of events where they had the Americans over, and I mean they had the Ilmac down to one of them, and they got a few Yanks over, but ultimately it was people wanting to see that weirder kind of more up close, a little bit funnier, a little bit off the wall kind of style. So everyone was there wanting to see that kind of thing, and that's an easy audience to play off. The bigger audiences and where I'm on a stage and they're kind of that's where I'm actually I feel a bit removed from everything, and I like to play in all directions, and when you're only going in 2, it's actually more debilitating than if you're rapping it in 360 because you've got less to play with.
Like, we'll get onto the battle against Eek and Enigma, but I was actually there. I was there watching the battle as well. And when they pan across, I forgot how many goddamn people are in Leeds. Like, it's a huge amount of people for a battle rap crowd in the UK. It's really,
it was
really
intense.
Impressive.
It was very intense.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So you start off calling him Druidicris, which is great. You mentioned your similarities to Adam the Rapper. Obviously, someone you would little do we know, but you had bested, years before that freestyle thing. And Og, he's such an unusual character, and he's so unique that he's kind of a blessing in a sense, I suppose, for writing angles, because he is, you can sort of stuff you say about him, you can't really. It's not like a Bowski where you just use fat jokes and whatever. Like Og is Og, like this is just so unique. And talk about how he'll pause loads. But not because he's a hesitant, sad tool, it's because he's too intellectual to handle. So whenever he takes an extended breath in a battle, a subtitle appears like, please turn to page 10 of the manual, which is wonderful writing, flows brilliantly, and spot on. And the way you say, please turn to, I mean, I'm not going to kind of imitate, but you know what I'm saying? You say it in this kind of almost QVC style kind of turn to the camera, which is really nice and really sells it as well. And then just more physical and dietary, so your hairline's not receding, it's just your face that's advancing. And a vegan section as well,
of course.
Similar to C Major as well. He attacks him for the same reasons. But yeah, sorry, you're saying.
I mean, again, he's such a stand-up guy. He's got just so much integrity. Like everything he says, he backs in his life. Like he just reads Zen manuscripts casually. Like he's just that kind of person that is unflappable. I honestly, unless he's like choked or something, or his material has just not. I don't think anyone has truly beaten Ogmios. Like not to the point where he would have to take a few months off, or like
he's never been bodied.
No, never.
Maybe outer bodied.
Yeah, out of body experience perhaps, but not. He was. I mean, he was fun to write for. I think it was also at a time when he hadn't really gone in on anyone the way he then went on to go in on me. So I didn't have a clue. I thought that Southend Echo article was buried in the deep crevices of the internet, and like I don't know where he went on Google to find my dad's middle name. Like I literally just he'd always spoken in kind of generalisms and played the more surreal angle. But it was the first person he actually like properly researched, and I just couldn't have called that. I could have written War and Peace again, and it wouldn't even have come close. It was just you couldn't come up against anything like that.
No, that Southend Echo article. I actually I tried to find it this afternoon because I just wanted to read it, and I put in Mos Prob, Southend Echo, Adam Fellman, all the stuff, but I couldn't find it anywhere. But it's again, he has his methods, I suppose. It's pretty unbelievable. And he says the Echo, just to kind of sum up, he talks about it's all about this privileged cunt receiving ridiculous sums to teach piano to mischievous young fingerless who live off and pillage plums in your village slum, which is great writing. Again. And I mean, that must have been what a weird feeling for him, not only to reach and for someone to pass him paper. He was thinking, oh, what the hell is he going to bring out here? But just to see that article, that must have been quite a weird feeling.
The thing is, it was something I did years and years and years ago. It was like a local charity thing that didn't really take off properly. I think if it had, it would be a different story. But it's like he managed to take something, or at least done with good intentions in the past, and actually managed to make me look like a complete mug out of it. I don't know how he pulled it off. That's and the graffiti thing as well.
Brilliant tie-in.
Where I lived, the graffiti was like a penis drawn on a wall. Like now I'm in Brighton, and the graffiti's actual legitimate art. Obviously that completely opened my eyes. But I lived a pretty sheltered life in a, it was a bit run down, but it was a sheltered little life in like a pimple on the armpit of Southend. Like, so we didn't really get any elaborate graffiti, or I just didn't understand. I didn't understand it. So obviously, it's just crazy that you say something off the back of not having the experiences. Like when you're 18, think nothing of it, and then you just have it like dragged up in front of you, like 5-6 years later, and it's just like that was really powerful for me though. That was just like, man, I need to actually really open my eyes generally and think about what I say. Like it wasn't offensive, or at the time I thought it was like a strong sentiment or whatever, but I guess it's just when you speak without understanding and it's on a permanent record, and it's something like battle rap shines a light onto that, and it was
entirely.
Yeah, there was a tale in that for me.
Well, so in your second, obviously, you say Ogmios out. Your dad's middle name is Leslie. You start with my dad's middle name is Leslie. time.
Yeah. What more can you say? He's won.
What can you say?
I'm going home. I'm going to hug my dad and tell him I love him. And if he wants to disown me, he's welcome to.
That line has been picked up by the YouTube comments as well. Like, people always just say it's just such a funny moment in the battle, and it is hilarious. And lots of, I mean, you know, you're praising Ogmios a lot, and I am too. He's incredible rounds. But you know, I'd say you definitely match him pretty much. And I understand. So you break it down here. He's sort of PE teacher aesthetic. Saying, I understand it's got to be tough to shout at kids like a stern father and yell at the fat kids to work harder when it's such a long commute from Nirvana, which is really, really funny as well. And then just his similar topics that you've touched on the first. You do the slow it down, which we'll touch more on in the Soul battle, but this is pre your DNA battle as well. The slow it down, was that just kind of, it's almost meme-y, kind of, you know, just part of rap culture, or are you a conceited fan? Or?
No. I mean, I saw Conceited versus Charlie Clips live at Blackout 4. That was awesome.
Oh.
That was really, really cool live. And you know, but I've actually only been in the room for one Conceited battle. It's just not the style of rapping that I like. I appreciate the wordplay, but yeah, I had to take a. But the thing, I was using that to demonstrate how slow he spoke. I wouldn't actually do a legitimate slow it down and try and be like, yeah, that I'm really good. That was me being really good, everyone.
No, well you say, as you say, you know, when I slow it down, it's on relevant themes. When he slows it down, you'll never leave, which is great as well. And then, I mean, Ogmios, his second round,
man,
is sensational.
What can you do? Like, you just stand
out of this world.
You have to just stand there and be like, I'm just happy I'm witnessing something great. Like, I don't even expect to walk out of this battle anymore.
No, it's spectacular. I mean, this like when you talk about your rap's Damien Hirst, a pretentious plagiarist trying to force a laugh, you'd only take a shit on a formaldehyde preserved shark, which is just to think of that crap. I mean, it doesn't get that much of reaction, really. You react
only
quite
from
heavily
me.
to it.
It's
yeah.
It's such the thing is, writing about that is such a risk in like a rap community. You've just got to laud that. Like, that's
you do.
That's genius. That's a genius bar, and that completely frames battle rap and goes, "This is your approach to it." And it's so clever, because there's probably a lot of people that would be like, "Oh yeah, Damien Hirst, he's an artist," but most people think he's a complete twat. But obviously, it was just all there in the context. He didn't say anything else apart from that, and just moved on to a different point.
Exactly.
I respect that so much.
And on like a kind of cruder, higher level, you just have the image of you shitting on a formaldehyde shark as well, which is just kind of like coats it all in this this quite abstract nature. And then, you know, going in with the name flips, but Ogmios does them so well that you kind of can't really hate them.
They're not even name flips. They're not even name flips the way he does them. It's
No. They're just kind of, And I'm a classical guy. I don't respect Mozart. I came to shatter your frame so your bones break, then put your fragments back together. That's how you make a mosaic, which I really like.
That would make me more than ache, I think. Ouch, my bones.
It would smart quite a bit,
yeah.
One of the best, it's probably one of the best references to The Simpsons ever in battle rap, I would say.
Infinitely.
Got Duff lines on tap, Mos Islam.
Even thinking about it now, it's just like...
Yeah, it's perfect, isn't it?
You heard everyone's face muscles just clenched together in the room. It wasn't even a, ooh, it was just like a collective creaking of joints. It was amazing.
Just absolutely fantastic. And then in your third, you talk that real shit in the third, as URL people want. You know, you call me a miserable soul, find me a creative person that isn't, and you're like, okay, there is a few, but whatever. And then just kind of go on. I mean, you're writing here when you kind of go on your Ogmios impression. Was that easy to write because it's like that kind of more dense, multi style that's a little bit different to your normal order?
Yes and no. I mean, I've always written kind of serious bars to myself. It's only recently that I've started putting them out, because obviously I had to sort of escape the comedy rap thing first. But, I mean, I actually find it easier to write kind of to that style than jokes, because, you know, you only had to demonstrate pulling in concepts, and you didn't really have to get a reaction with that. I mean, it had to be good wordplay and stuff, but ultimately what you're going in on is then following that. It's the same with the slow it down. I didn't have to write a genuine slow it down because I was sort of framing it for another purpose. And that was the same with the with that scheme. But I mean, I studied philosophy at like A level or whatever, so I have I had references that I could pull from and mystical whatever. It's just it's just writing a rap, but it's just from a different field of words.
So yeah, you basically say, you claim to be a deity, creator of language and semantics. We plainly see a lame MC with a failing handle on syllabics. It vaguely seems you're facing me and not a test. But I'm fading, see, you're facing Nietzsche, God is dead. Chinese finger trap style structure there with the kind of multis. Didn't really do it justice with my sort of breaking voice.
That was bars, bro.
Those were serious bars.
Yes, mate.
Like hashtag BAWS. Like,
fire emoji.
Crazy. Yeah, exactly. And then... And then I love the it's more your delivery than anything, but you really sell it, where you're basically speaking about Ogmios, where he gets his name from, and you're talking about, quoting Wikipedia, Ogmios is the Celtic god of eloquence. He looked like an older version of Heracles. He was also a binding god who used to tie men under his head, and they're like, oh my god, that sounds like bumming. And it's just one of those breaks from there. Like, were you kind of, was that kind of, I don't know how I want to put this, like, were you reading that Wikipedia article and literally thinking that to yourself, and then you was like, oh, I can literally put that in the battle, like, there's no more bars necessary?
That was the exact order that I thought, when I was reading the article, I got to that point in the sentence, I was like, oh my god, that sounds like bumming. And I was like, oh my god, I can just do that. I don't even have to really think of an end to the battle, because it was just like, I mean, yeah, that it's an appropriate battle to do that in. Ogmios will be pulling something like that at some point in the battle. So, yeah, I don't know. Marlowe's sort of taking that whole ending on a non sequitur, non-rhyme type thing to absolute extremes. I think he does it better, to be honest. But yeah, I really enjoy. I don't really like the homophobic side of it, like
that. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
but it's just, it wasn't even like, bumming is bad and gay people are terrible. It was just like, just childish. It was like, bumming. It could have easily been replaced with poo or wee or silly hats. Like, it was just one of those really puerile things that made me laugh. And I was like, well, if it makes me laugh, it's going to make a room full of people laugh, hopefully. And it worked. It didn't win me the battle, but nothing was going to win me that battle.
No, there's a guy going crazy. There's one distinct laughter trail that there's just guys can't stop laughing at it. He thinks it's and he is, it is very funny. It's just that kind of, you kind of came with just these heavy kind of, really kind of ecclesiastical kind of bars, and then just kind of into kind of, oh my god, it sounds like bumming. And then, Ogmios is third. He attacks what a lot of people go for, which is kind of easy bait, but he does it in an interesting way. Talks about your dissertation, on battle rap as well. This twat talks about like David Attenborough talks about birds, which and then he goes into quite a, Ogmios doing a David Attenborough impression is
perfect.
Literally. Have the round slightly. He goes a lot longer than you.
If they had cut him off where they were meant to, he would have come. I would have come closer to winning. But that's only because like all of his material was amazing, so he would have lost like half his amazing shit and a lot of the crescendos and stuff. And I feel like I should have gone in on that and drawn attention to it, because then they would have felt longer. Maybe I'd have sucked a bit of wind from under him. But yeah, he definitely had longer rounds.
Then concludes out, and it's a fantastic battle. I believe it was after this battle, I'm just trying to work this out retroactively, that you did a freestyle battle with Pedro afterwards.
Like, this is, at the end of the day, your life is basically depressive. That wasn't bars at all. That was literally off the top of my head.
Why did it rhyme now?
Why did it rhyme? Because that's what freestyling is. What freestyling doesn't rhyme?
Bad man, bro.
Are we just having an argument now?
Directly after, yeah.
So this was just, you went outside and it was just like, do you want to, just do something?
It was Mickey Worthless.
Right.
There were a few battles that went down. I just wanted to battle Pedro in any context. I wanted to do a battle with Pedro. I've always wanted to. I want to have a proper written battle with Pedro, but then I know it will just be a chance to write against his freestyles, because I'd stand a chance. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, that, I mean, yeah, we don't really need to break that down too much.
No.
You just one thing in that though. You talk that Pedro plays piano and violin.
He has mentioned that he plays piano and violin.
I was hoping you'd maybe seen him, and that was like first-hand evidence or something.
No, it's not evidence unless I'm producing a photo or a video of him beautifully cranking out some Mozart. But
just covered in blunt wax,
the
piano.
The idea of Pedro playing violin is literally my favourite mental image.
Well, it's like, those kind of like, quote, viral videos where they put the piano in the middle of some busy town centre and you're like, you won't believe what this guy does. And I kind of envision Pedro just laying down some like arias down there or something.
That would be perfect.
Probably less likely. But yeah, you've got a few demo battles actually. You have 4 demo battles.
I'm a king of demo battles, mate.
Yeah, but like, they're good. Like, I'm kind of slightly obsessed with the idea of demo battles. Like, I love the idea that there's just kind of these forgotten battles that happen and people were there, but it's just kind of, you know what I mean? They've got like 1,000 views, and most of them, rightly so, are pretty shit. The one that isn't shit, the one that should be on the main channel, is you versus DNA.
I'm sorry for sullying your name in this way by even appearing in front of you. So I'm just really going to be entertained to see what this cunt can do, because you're like, thank you very much for coming through, but something, your mum is poo. Time, please.
Sorry, what's your definition of isn't shit?
I think entertaining. There's never a boring moment in this battle. It's quite, I don't want to say electric. It's not like electric, but it's kind of like, I think your delivery is brilliant. How did this come together? This was the end of Checkpoint.
First Checkpoint.
Well, yeah, it must have been. Yeah.
I think I turned up there like hoping that I'd get involved in a freestyle battle, and it just so happened Charlie Clips and Conceited and DNA were there. If I'd been drawn against Charlie Clips, my day would have been a lot worse. But like, yeah, it was just DNA wants to do a battle. Can you be over there in a minute? I was just like in a minute, like 10 minutes? No, like a minute. I was okay. On the condition that you go first. And yeah, I just went over there. It started. I didn't really realise it was happening until afterwards. I almost fainted. That's genuine. I had the biggest head rush afterwards. I was just trying to process it. Obviously, I'm not one of those rappers that's like, yeah, I deserve to be on the biggest stage in the world. Like at that point, I was just chuffed to even be getting battles and had a meager following from it. To wind up just going to like a just event in London, and then battling DNA for me was just like, and obviously at that time I was a massive battle nerd, so it was like meeting Thor. Even he probably wouldn't be in my top 10 American battlers, but he is in the top 2 biggest in the world probably at the moment.
Yeah, he's soon to be the biggest. He's soon to overtake Arsenal. I think there's like 1 million views between them now, and he just has more battles, obviously, with K-Shan on a double circuit as well. But yeah, I mean, say what you like about DNA. People make fun of him or whatever, but the guy's an absolute legend.
He's a beast at freestyling.
He's incredibly good freestyler, and Don't Flop love DNA.
Of course,
like he's one of the most beloved American guests. He's always over here for events and stuff, and how exciting, and it's testament as well to the popularity of this battle. This battle has 178,000 views,
ridiculous.
Which you could on one hand be like, oh, because it's got DNA in it, but there's lots of battles with DNA battling other. I mean, no offense, but comparatively unknowns in the regard of DNA's realm, and they've got like 10,000 views. And the thing is, as well, Demo Battles only has 7,000 subscribers, so that's a huge disparity between the amount of subscribers and the amount of viewers, which shows, that people love this battle, and I've loved this battle. I remember seeing this battle on Scouring Demo Battles years ago, being like, what is DNA? And like, I couldn't believe that. First of all, couldn't believe it existed, and then I clicked on it. I was just like, oh, this is brilliant. And I realised it's maybe a bit superfluous for us to like break down the battle because it's a freestyle battle. But I just think this is a really, really funny battle. And you obviously in your first, kind of. Again, acknowledging the kind of artifice of battling, acknowledging that there's time limits, acknowledging that you're struggling, which makes it far more endearing. And it's kind of, I mean, I don't want to kind of be too meta about this, but it's nice that this is a much more stripped back battle, and you're not wearing glasses, which kind of lends to that unvarnished style. I don't know what it is. That's always kind of influenced the kind of mood of this battle for me.
I think if I wasn't wearing glasses, I could my vision would be inadequate, and I'd probably be able to convince myself I was battling like Toucan again or something. Like it was just
Wow, so without glasses, DNA seems like what that is.
yeah. But then, that I won't go any more into that because I don't want to hurt little Tommy Toucan's feels. Hello, Toucan. But yeah, like it was an experience, and it was one of those. I think a lot of my favourite moments from battling came from those freestyle battles. Like the Petro one as well that I did when my other half battled Big J. Like that was just like a supporting battle. It's still one of my favourite atmospheres that I ever got from battling. It's just because again it's that thrown together. Like no one turned up expecting to see either of them battles. And the DNA one in particular, like, people just thought I was trolling afterwards. I had to do so much to convince people that battle existed before the video came out. But yeah, and I mean. Jackie wasn't even living here yet, so you know this was before she'd moved here and we were living together and stuff. And I obviously called her and she's like, "Yeah, I just battled DNA," and she was just like, "Adam, you know I don't believe you." And I literally had to talk to her about half an hour before she would accept that I had actually battled DNA. I still don't accept it. I think it's like Bagnall's editing or something from.
Yeah, that's some pro level Photoshop.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, so you sort of say. That must be quite long for DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, which obviously everyone kind of remembers just ground into your head in biology. And then you're like, and that had like several syllables in it. I literally don't know how I'm going to fill a whole minute. And how many people were there, by the way? You can sort of see people at the side. Was it a kind of big crowd behind you, or
maybe 30, 40 people? Like it was, you know, again, no one went expecting to see DNA battle. You know, they just went for some thrown together. You know, Pedro battling a wall or himself or, you know, whatever. That's what we were expecting. So I wasn't even expecting to see a DNA.
He starts on the wall. It's just,
the wall, you know, the only battle the wall can lose.
Yeah. You end with something your mum is poo. The ghost of Bowski haunts. DNA obviously kills it as well, and then just lots of funny jokes really where you're talking about what DNA's wearing. Are they a basketball team? They're probably a basketball team.
I still to this day don't know.
Yeah. And at the end of the second's great as well, where you're struggling and you're literally kind of repeating what DNA has said, and you're like, he pointed out my jeans are ripped. Well, he's a crip. Are you a crip? And then just calls Tom.
I've had enough. I can't watch this. This is the UK is dying.
See, I think you're putting it down. I think you do well. I don't like. It's kind of. I think there's a lot more Don't Flop MCs you could throw in that, and it wouldn't be as funny as a battle. But I think you know, and DNA just takes it in his stride. Really, he's so good in that regard.
I think the same you that enjoyed This Is Going Disastrously and thinks it was legitimately good, also thinks my freestyling in this battle is watchable. I mean, I watched the battle because I was, you know, just stripping several layers away from actually being able to believe it happened. But it's not a good look. I still obviously it's something I would never ever change for the world, and I actually think in terms of like showing it to my friends, it's just awkward Adam. It's probably the closest I've ever been to me in a battle. But yeah, I didn't think it was like
fair enough, I understand that, but I mean it's testament as well that the battle has, you know, 99% upvotes, as it were, to use Reddit terminology, but you know what I mean? There's only like 50 dislikes to the like 1,500 likes. Like, you know, people, and normally a battle will get likes if they think, oh, this guy was shit, you know, I'm going to show this guy's crap, you know, we're going to get the ratio down or whatever. But people really like this battle because, you know, your persona's really likable, but it's very, very funny. But, you know, we'll move on to more better showcase your talent. Your battle is Soul.
So, Jed, stop punching things. Stop pretending Fife is more fucked up than the rest of both of our countries is. And stop mentioning the mines of Moria out of jealousy that they're still functioning.
This is a crazy match. This is so good. And I was just looking through the comments when I was making my notes, and I don't know if you saw, but the Saurus actually called it his favourite non-US battle of that year.
I got a tiny chub on when I read that the first time. That was, you know, again, Thesaurus was one of the first people I was watching regularly, so that was... Yeah.
I mean, it goes without saying that the guy's an absolute legend. But I mean, coming into this as well, Soul had been around, you know, even before yourself, quite a while before yourself. Had you always been you've been a fan for a while coming up to this, or?
Yeah, I think he definitely took a while to come into his own as well. I think
Yeah,
I was that, like, I kind of fitted with my persona pretty well, but I was always that guy who someone would come up against when they were just like forcing their way into the top tier, like Ogmios. I think, he was definitely middle to top tier, but he went top tier against me. Like, Soul had always been that guy with like the writing ability, but his performance went top tier against me and like took him to that level. And like Adam the Rapper went stratospheric against me, and like that's something I always really liked. But it was also kind of unfortunate because it meant that I could write as good as I mean, I did write as good as I could for that battle. Not as good as I could just in one instance, but like that was the peak of my writing ability. That battle. So
for sure.
I definitely liked his stuff before. I actually appreciated his funnier moments more than his like more verbose moments, because I thought that even though it sounded amazing and I loved that vocabulary in anyone, it was always sort of a little bit general and never quite hit the mark. And with me, it was the first time his wordplay has like been elaborate and also mostly directly about his opponent. So, but yeah, I mean, I was obviously a fan beforehand, but I'm not like, if I'd have battled someone like, so I don't even remember who I was a fan of at the time. Someone like, no, I'm gone. I'm joking. Like, I mean, it's like an O'Shea or a pamphlet at the time. Someone I'd gone through the back catalogues and just swatted up on, or like a Tenchu or someone like that. I was huge fans of them, as most people getting into Don't Flop were. But so yeah, I really liked Soul, but I wouldn't say I was that level of like, I idolise you kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, Soul is, again, similar to Ogmios, just different gravy, really. Like, an unbelievable talent that I think when people eventually look back on Don't Flop, whatever happens to Don't Flop in 20 years or so, that he'll be seen as one of the greats.
Oh, fully.
In terms of just his consistency. I mean, I've mentioned it before on the battle, but one of my all-time favourite battles is him versus Matter, which is a very early battle, actually. I think that's like 2011 or something. It's where Yunnan battled Jokerstar on the same event as well. They're all very young in it. Chronicles co-hosting, so that just goes to show you. Yeah, oh my god, like, the writing in that. But yeah, the writing in this as well is fantastic. I mean, he starts and inevitably starts going on a new girlfriend. When other men approach her, obviously her name's Rapunzel. She's known for letting her hair down. Really, like the amount of weapons that Soul has, like he can't, you know what I mean? He has brilliant writing and puns and wordplay, but his angles are fantastic. His whole syntax is terrific. Like, I really can't pile superlatives on this guy enough. But it's the same for you, really. Flips are insane in this. So, you point out in your first that it's the Atlantic Ocean for both of us, Jed, because obviously you pointed out the kind of things that separate you, the two seas that separate you, but it was just the one. And you say, we both know how deep it can get. And then you attack what? So Soul had been on King of the Dot, this is his debut against Wise Guy, I believe.
Yes.
This is what you were speaking about? Yeah. I mean, how interesting that Soul's been really, like, embraced by King of the Dot. I'm not saying it's a surprise in the sense that, he's not worth it. Of course, he's a genius, but it's quite nice, isn't it, to see that kind of, he's became such a star over there.
I think he definitely fitted in with that more lyrical bent of the Canadian leagues, and that was something that he pioneered over here. He was very much the birth of that, like, ultra dense, vocabulary laden reference fest. Totally. And he I think he went over to King of the Dot, and even more so than in certainly his early Don't Flop days, he was just the most consistent battler at almost every event he did. Him versus Sketch Menace, I think, is one of the better King of the Dot battles of all time. Like, him versus Osa and against Wise Guy, he's just every single time. It's ridiculous. And even against Canadians, like, he absolutely wiped the floor with Lopeshi.
Oh god, yeah.
He's it's kind of that perfect marriage of a league seeing potential in someone in terms of their, like, trademark style, and then just absolutely grabbing it and just hammering it home every time. And yeah, he's been invited back because he's just, every time he battles, he's one of the highlights of the event over there.
Yeah, no, he's incredible. And so yeah, obviously he was throwing his hat around and kind of flicking his hair in that Wise Guy battle to quite a theatrical extent, but it works. It's quite exciting to watch. You talk about he only person I've met with a fringe at the back, which is a nice little quite original kind of assertion of him. You'd be LARPing instead of this if you hadn't found books. You look like how a Basset Hound feels about how a Basset Hound looks. Now, a line like that, which is obviously an absolute killer line, like, when you were writing that, was that something that excited you? Do you know when certain things are going to pop, or is it more a surprise to you when you drop the verse?
I know when, because obviously I ran every battle I did to nauseating effect for Jackie. Like, she's very, very critical. We partner up on a lot of stuff, and it's why we get on so well. And she would always like throw in little ideas. Like, I think I said you look like a Basset Hound or something, and she was like, maybe you look how a Basset Hound feels because he looks really true. And then the moment I know I've taken it past what she would think is sensible is when I'm happy with it. So when I turned it around, like, you look how a Basset Hound feels about how a Basset Hound look. Adam, that's just too much. No, it's not. It'll be fine. And that for me was one of those truly, like, hitting it home moments. I really, really, really enjoyed delivering that line. Like writing it, I did feel it. I feel like if Soul came with a certain approach, it may have disarmed it. If he went full funny the whole way through, which I know he can do. He's a really, really funny guy. When he goes lighthearted in his battle, it's really like he's so flippant with it, and it has a real impact. But yeah, certainly, I think if he came with that, it might have maybe sucked a bit of the life out of what I was doing. But because he went with that full throttle, like, wordplay things, doing silly stuff like that was just the best thing I could have done in that context. That's why my first round was the best round for me in that battle, because it was the only really almost fully silly round in the whole thing.
Yes, yeah, it does get a little. You kind of go more on sort of nationalist kind of minor strike bent in the later rounds, but your first is. I mean, not saying they aren't killer though, but the first, is killer as well. And then you end with a Game of Thrones house sigil kind of scheme.
Always wanted to.
Which is kind of it's great because obviously you always wanted to, but you have a kind of like platform on which to air that, because you basically say, I intended that when you ask people do they know Game of Thrones sigils, and quite a lot of people say yes, and you say I intended that to be met with an earth-shattering silence, because I'll do a Jed, put pointless things that I like in my raps because I like it, and I'm kind of partially aware of Game of Thrones, but even I was kind of catching on, and I'm guessing you're a big fan, and this is something you've been looking forward to doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same way, Soul likes a TV show. 50 references to that TV show go in his bars. Like,
he's referenced The Wire so many times. His Wire bars are brilliant.
I'm surprised that I could watch The Wire spoiler free after watching Soul's battles. Like, I didn't, because he makes them so densely wordplay ish. It's hard to pick up on what he's saying, but afterwards I was like, you were such a dick for saying that. I could so easily have ruined it for me. But like now, I mean, I think something I've tried to work into, certainly the stuff I'm writing now, is just by like reading weirder stuff, like not necessarily sticking with Game of Thrones, but actually trying to read stuff like old Philip K. Dick and weird sci-fi stuff, and actually reference that. At the end of the day, you've got to put your own field of experience into the stuff you're referencing, and it doesn't. The whole part of the thing that is sort of the reason I'm less interested in battle rap now is because it's sort of referencing what's popular at the time. I think that's what I was doing then, but it's also one of those moments. The same with the room stuff that you mentioned. I'm dangerously into the room, and I put that stuff in not knowing at the time. Certainly by the Nils McSkills battle I knew people would know the room, but certainly at the time when I dropped it in the Mark Grist battle, I hadn't heard it referenced before. I didn't know if anyone else had seen it or knew what it was. I just liked it, and it was sort of, as much as I was criticising Soul for that, it was also an excuse to do that myself and get away with it.
I totally know what you mean. Sometimes you got to indulge those things for no other reason than you want to indulge them. Like I had a battle against 142, and I referenced Dan Carlin, the history podcaster, who's hardcore history and common sense.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and like one guy was like, ugh, and I was like, did he get that bar, or was it just like? But like afterwards, I was like, why did I do that? It's going beyond even like Philip K. Dick novels. Like that's really specialist. But yeah,
what's your battle name?
Soliloquy.
Your Soliloquy.
Yeah,
I haven't probably watched a battle for a year.
Your Soliloquy. What my response?
No, but I obviously, not obviously, but the soap opera that happens in the King of the Ronalds group, for me, is just infinitely entertaining. Yeah, obviously I see all of these names mentioned. I don't think I've watched a King of the Ronalds battle for like a year. I'm just so out of the loop with everything. But I keep track of the drama, which is unfortunate. I don't think you're actually at the centre of any of these.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I just obviously hear you'd be good against Bard and stuff like that. Have you battled Bard?
No, I do really like Bard actually, and I would like to have Bard on. Actually, no, Bard is going to be on the show. Sorry, he has agreed to be on the show. Bard would wipe the floor with me. I was never very good at battling. I was kind of just a tourist. I just enjoy it so much. I wanted to have a go. But yeah, big up King of the Ronalds anyway.
Yeah,
check out my battle versus Murta. I believe it's currently got about 40 more dislikes than likes. So yeah,
those will be Murta though. I like Murta.
Yeah, big up Murta as well, all the time.
And shout-outs to Bard. It's good to hear you having him on. He's an interesting chap.
Yeah, no, I think Bard is genuinely brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's certainly the best battler in the country right now outside of Don't Flop for sure. He beat O'Shea, from what I'm hearing, quite convincingly.
Oh, really?
That for the title, because he was the King of the Ronalds champion. He beat. Really beat to get the title. I can't even remember now. Someone at a tournament. She was undisposable. Their roster is maybe, but yeah, he won. Went up against O'Shea, retained it, and now I believe he's going abroad. He's going to Poland this weekend.
Denmark, I believe.
Like that. Yeah. But no, he's just a really creative writer. He's just really exciting to listen to, and he again similar to the whole The Room or Dan Carlin. He brings in that MMO RPG shit.
Absolutely,
but I've got a sword so big it doesn't fit in my inventory.
He said that?
He said that,
Oh, Bard.
Yeah. Check out Bard versus Mac Sherry. Mac Sherry chokes 3 rounds, but Bard he just brings consistent material, and he just brings a lot of his sword bars, and he kills it. He's big up Bard every time.
I'd want to take the title of him.
Yeah, why not? You and Bard would be a good battle, actually.
We've always talked about either teaming up or battling each other or doing stuff. I first saw him at No Escape, which was Toucan's event in Ipswich. It was to an audience of about 40 people who just, I don't know what they were there to watch, but it wasn't the battles that were lined up for sure. And he battled Woods. I think it was Woods who had just one of the worst Don't Flop debuts imaginable. I had to judge that, and my face was just one of pure pity throughout the whole thing. But I was really impressed with Bard on his, the first time I saw him. It may even have been his debut. So I've got a lot of love for Bard, and he's also, it's one of the people at the moment in the UK who's best at the blogging thing. Yeah,
totally. And he's a great battler. But that ends this week's Bardathon, and we'll get back onto Soul, which is sort of on this tangent of Bard praise. But seriously, big up Bard. Everyone needs to watch. He just battled Conquer B as well at a Poetic Warfare event. I think that was a really good battle as well. So now Soul's second round is just fucking outstanding. Like it's
classic,
it's really next level stuff. Obviously, you have the Scott making progressive movements like Murray did, why Hemp couldn't, which is insane. But it's just testament that in that whole section, that whole kind of attack at the start, his references are just, he goes from in the same breath, he'll go from speaking about tennis to Dunblane to Truman Capote to mutants to the French Revolution.
No,
within like 10 bars. It's just like and none of it feels forced. None of it feels showy, offy, or pretentious. Even though it's French Revolution and Truman Capote, it works, and it's it's just fantastic. Really, it's just mad. And then he Soul ends it with basically saying you should have stuck to comparing you to Loaded Lux, calling Moses Lux going to Rabbin it dark. And now the flip that you come up with, I see Jed C, you are not ready. On Moses Lux, what you're going to say, Loch Nestle. Incredible flip, shuts down the room, gets kind of what I would call Don't Flop's Don DeMarco, which is Bagnall spinning the camera 360. You know what I mean? because we don't have sound effects here, but we do have revolutions. But the speed of that, to come up with that so quickly, like, I mean, what was going on in your head? Because it seems like he dropped the Moses Lux line, and then like 10 seconds later, dropping that amazing flip.
You know what? He had called me Moses Lux on Twitter about 6 months ago. I saw it on Twitter, completely brushed it to one side. But when he said that line, I think it just flashed back in my head. And I think I must have had that idea. I mean, I'm good at flips. I don't see how I came up with it that quickly. I must have thought of that at the time, and it was just like, I didn't remember it, but that idea must have formed in my head and just come like that surprised me when it came out of me. And I've gone back to that moment. The previous round, he pulled out that guy who looks like Iron Solomon and made a point. After the battle, the line that it was that's my most even battle to date, I think. And the line that would have won it for me was like, I don't know, you want this guy's help, why don't you borrow him? I now anoint you Iron Brew Solomon. Nice. Would have been like end of the battle. Like, regardless of Soul's stuff, that would have been just one of the best multi-layered flips in history. That's I rarely brag, but that would have been awesome. It's not bragging if it didn't happen.
No, Iron Brew Solomon is inspired. Like, literally, when you just mentioned Iron Solomon, I was trying to think in my head. Then I was like, a Scottish flip for Iron Solomon. But yeah, that is next level. And then kind of you have a kind of sort of shotgun shuggy kind of approach here.
I'm often compared to
a kind of like what your life like, but from a Scottish perspective, rather than the hood sort of thing. And then you talk about Scotland's best author lives in Miami and goes by the name Irving Welsh. No one really understood that because that was a literature fact.
I thought that was. So, I mean, I was actually
solid. Solid as hell. Yeah.
I was expecting people. Everyone's seen Train Spotting. It's not like that's not like a Soul level obscure reference. And I was just like, oh, okay, no one. That was That didn't.
No. There's a pause and people are like, oh, Welsh, yeah, okay, but it doesn't really. Yeah, it's not it's not going too much there. But what it allows you to do. It becomes a latch, and then you can kind of move on where you're talking about. But your whole image you have is like Train Spotting Infant Phantasm when its head twists to the back. Because your success when delivering raps is a projection of issues you have only because Jed is addicted to smack. Which is a fantastic tie into the whole Danny Boyle, delivery and stuff like that. And again, you end the verse with just your name's Jed, which is really funny. Kind of like
real talk.
So I was like,
his name is Jed.
Yeah, that's it. Facts. And then Jed, I call him Jed myself now. Soul has, I love schemes and I love contrived schemes just for the sense of just like fun wordplay. But his Star Wars scheme, next level.
I screwed. I mean, you see me. I couldn't even. I was actually being kind of aggy to Soul for the whole thing. Like I was sort of shrugging him off and looking unimpressed. Obviously, I was mad impressed for the whole thing, but I had to put up a bit of a battlefront. Ironically, about the Star Wars.
Nice.
I wasn't even thinking of that at the time.
That was great.
But like the moment he came out with that, I was just like, I can't even pretend anymore. Stop being good.
The Mos Eisley flip, like that's a gift, isn't it? Like a real gift. Bunhead's like Princess Leia as well.
That got me.
A terrific. Oh man, and his before this, you're a renowned reclusive on some Howard Hughes shit. But doing shows up and down the country to seem successful is the coward's blueprint. But you're not rap savior, just hiding in the shroud of Turin.
Oh my god! Yeah, too much. Way too much.
Like, I'm rewatching this battle this week just for the episode, and I forgot that bar existed. It was just because it's right at the end of his third, and oh my god, absolutely terrific. And then your third's really, really strong as well. Actually, when you're talking about kind of your dad was in the firing line in the miners' strike and harsh times surrounding Fife. You too were in the firing line, trying to survive at night on Half-Life and Counter-Strike. And you just kind of build on kind of your, your area of residence has a lower income per capita than my area of residence. And I like your description as well. You kind of have this like nice multi-scheme at the start talking about Fife and
Loch Gelly.
Glock Kelly, sorry, yeah. And you basically say it's the place is I quote a different league of chilling bleak. which is just a nice kind of like, sometimes when you force in multis, they don't kind of work out of context, but I just quite like it. It's quite a nice description, really. And you mentioned that, stop mentioning the Minds of Moria are jealousy that are still functioning. Brilliant tie-in between Fife and that area. But yeah, I mean, altogether, killer battle. So the next battle is, infamous in a good way, I suppose. Can you be infamous in a good way, maybe? But, very, very well-known battle. A battle that not only was at 5th birthday, but got featured on the Daily Mail, amongst other places. And
as every rapper aims for.
Yes, exactly. And obviously this is your doubles battle with your now wife, Jacqueline Rapunzel, and you went against Eek and Enigma at the 5th birthday. And
Eek stumbles as he follows Rapunzel through to the kitchen. Reekin mumbles as he tries to think of synonyms for penis, like
Jism Licker,
Inch Creeper,
Richard Preacher,
50 feet in rigid creature,
Crispy Greasy, Nifty Greasy, Dinky Cheesy, and Nipka Feeding.
Rickets! Now it's been deleted and replaced with 60 geeky Russian history speeches.
I was there. I was in the crowd, and I distinctly remember watching the battle, being really excited because at the time, by then I was a really big fan of you, as we discussed. I was really getting into your stuff, and I think, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure Bowski versus Mr. 13 went down before, which was it was as boring as it sounds, really, and people getting a little restless. And when Mr. Mos Prob's coming up and stuff like that, and it was just it was really exciting. And we'll get into the battle in a sec, but obviously the most prescient part is the proposal at the end, where you propose to Jackie. I mean, how long was this gestating? Obviously, you said post that you and Enigma and Eek were aware of it, and was aware of it and stuff. So there must have been quite a long while. Was it before 4th birthday, or was it kind of closer?
Oh no, it wasn't like. Obviously, it was at the point that I actually knew that I wanted to propose to her. Mm-hmm. It took me about a month, so it must have been maybe April or May that year. I was sort of sitting down thinking of ways I could actually do it. That would just be different. She's quite a weird person, and she's one of those ladies that thinks they're low maintenance, but are actually incredibly high maintenance, which is
Bernard Manning.
It's one of the most. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing type of situation, and it's like she wanted it to basically be. Because of our situation and the intercontinental thing, like we were obviously talking about marriage, and it was something that had come up, and it was just like, she knew the way she wanted to be proposed in, and she wasn't going to say yes unless it was, unless it was filmed or unless it was. Just done in a way that had never been done before, and obviously that's not an easy thing to do. So I spoke to her in about May or June, and was just like, "Look, does this sound like a good idea?" And he was like, "Bruv, this is gonna go mad viral, yeah."
Dollar signs.
I didn't really see it at the time. I was just like,
"Did you not though?"
Cool.
I mean, you must come on, like a
no,
battle rap proposal.
I'm not that views guy. Up until that point, when you think about it, my peak battle was maybe the Mark Grist one, because it was Mark Grist. I don't even think
DNA's
it
could have been Matt Sherry
proposing.
It would have got millions of views.
I was so nervous about actually doing it, even when we were conceiving it, that I just didn't really have that in mind. And spoke to me and said, you're going to have to talk to Enigma on this one, because he's actually planning to do a similar thing to his bird, but I don't know if it's going to be genuine or not. I don't know if he's just going to be taking the piss with it, or he's going to flip it on her, or what's going to happen. So talk to him, he might be down with it. Enigma was a gentleman, got married this weekend, by the way. Congratulations.
Congrats,
and he facilitated it, basically, just made sure we were going second. Obviously, I was going to say that his material was appropriate, but that fell by the wayside. But yeah, he made the whole thing possible, and by the point it came round, it was already. I was as non-nervous as I could possibly have been.
Yeah, I mean, remembering 3 rounds, you're in front of a gigantic 5th birthday crowd. I mean, like I say, I was there. It was ridiculous. I believe it was sold out. It was probably like 1,000 people there, and you've got the proposal on top of it. That must have been so stressful. It
was one of my. Obviously, it's one of the moments in battling I remember the most, because it was just one of the most important moments of my life. But also, it was like, I've never enjoyed an actual battle less, and like you can tell, I'm just like picking my nose and playing with my hair and fidgeting all through the thing. Like I just can't. I'm awkward to look at the best of time, but during that battle, I'm like lost in translation.
Yeah.
I can't deal with it. Yeah, it was horrible, and obviously having to do that and also hide it all from Jackie, who has the eyes of a hawk. So it was just having to smuggle the ring up there and stuff as well was.
Yeah, it must have been surreal as well. I mean, obviously everyone could check out the clip. Just search "Don't Flop Proposal." I believe it's got so many views now. It's fantastic as well. Like maybe if you saw it on paper, someone proposed someone at battle, you'd kind of roll your eyes, but it's completely genuine and it's heartwarming and it's a brilliant clip. That I mean, what a thing to have for you guys as well. I mean, I know you're now married, but it must be such a brilliant thing to look back on from time to time. It's such a lovely moment.
I think it's from a time as well in our relationship where we didn't have each other all the time. Like she weren't just in the next room. We had to wait months and months to see each other. So it's like it's a really good memento, not just of like the actual day itself, which we obviously it's got a very special place for us both, and it's obviously amazing to have Bagnall level cinematography of that, but also like. It's a reminder of the time around it as well, and it's sort of like, yeah, you guys might not always have this. Like, it's just a nice little kind of nudge in the back to not take anything for granted, and it's of course its own stresses, and it was weird in its own way, but it's important for us to have for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, probably worth any friends of the bride and groom maybe just watching the clip rather than the battle itself. Because it's pretty much an onslaught of anti-Semite Jew jokes, which I mean, it's just I don't know. But I like Eek and Enigma, and I don't think they're really kind of firing all cylinders here. Maybe they're trying to sort of do how many Jews it take to open a door. I don't know, but apparently more than 6 million. That sort of humour. Whereas you guys kind of attack in a bit more an interesting way. You use a 2-on-2. Really to your favour, and you start in the first. You kind of this long concept about inviting them round to dinner and playing on their precepts, which is really good. And then I believe Jackie attacks Enigma, saying you're so in character that your favourite movie is the irrelevant Maltese Falcon, which is fantastic. Yeah. And then they just come with Jew jokes in the second. Eek calls you Shylock in the third, and it's just I mean, but at the end of the day, when people look back on this, they're not really gonna remember Eek and Enigma's rounds, or even your rounds per se. They're going to remember your beautiful end to the battle, and obviously Rapunzel said yes, and it's fantastic. So yeah, we'll move on to you had the great privilege, and I always think this must be so fantastic as a battler to be invited overseas. To have the faith put in your product by another league. They like you. They think you're good. They want you to battle one of their own, or maybe someone else they draw in, which is what Don't Flop tends to do quite a bit. Get two US people against each other, but sometimes not. Sometimes Sharon will battle Unanimous. Johnny Storm will battle Shocks. Those kind of culture clashes, and they make for really good battles. And you were invited out to battle Nils and Skills.
I went on your Facebook and tried to find info to make bars that would hurt, include every element of your past in a verse, and derail your sermon like a fart in a church. But you deliberately put it in Norwegian to make it really hard to research. You are basically the biggest bastard on earth.
Obviously, he's a huge deal. I mean, he's a brilliant figure in the scene. He's been to Don't Flop quite a few times as well. King of the Dark also. And this is your second showing, I believe, in Don't Let the Label You. You battled against Maniac, I believe.
Yeah, the thing is, I studied German for years and years and years.
Nice.
Like, it was one of the things I was actually best at in the world until I just dropped it at A level, and as per most people's modern languages, it sort of rusted over.
Ziemlich anstrengen.
Die nicht so gut immer alle die Zeit. Yeah,
ich am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ich am ein good person. It was. I've always wanted to go to Berlin, and I really liked the idea of a German battle league springing up. Like when I was invited to Battle Maniac, it was I think their second event, so it was just. I think I got talking to Jolly J on the forum or something like that, and. Sort of took it from there, but my first showing out there was really good, and it was a really strong two-way battle. Like it was as good a showcase for their scene as it was for me as an international battle. And I think one of my kind of overhanging apart from DNA, it's part of my overhanging gripes with my time in Don't Flop. I never really got an international battle. I got Zayn Azrai before Zayn Azrai was a thing.
Yeah.
It was just sort of, he was in the country anyway, and obviously the DNA thing was completely out the blue. But I sort of had to find my own opportunities overseas, which actually made it quite exciting because I was the first UK battler apart from Jolly J, who ran the league, to actually battle in Germany. So I loved having that mantle, and
that's a milestone.
Getting to go over for someone like Nils McSkills, who obviously, in your self-aware, painfully white, dry, humid rebuttal sort of thing, you look up to him. He's
Kindred spirit.
Yeah, I mean he's very much a legitimate rapper in Norwegian, but he's got a completely different style when he changes language, and like that actually, the fact that his language, his like rapping style completely transforms because of that need to translate, like that whole side of it fascinates me. Like I want to that's part of why I was going over there, not like a proper in-depth linguistic study, but I was just interested to see how not only German battles was come about, but the actual, whether the verbs would still go to the end of the sentence, or whether it would they'd adapt the German to more American styles, or I was just interested on that.
Was there any discernible difference in vibe of the event from, because obviously you've been to so many Don't Flop events, now you're going to German events. Was the German event, I mean, at the risk of being horribly stereotypical, was it more on time, or
Oh, I mean, it was quite late. The thing that stuck out, it was an evening battle. And then afterwards there was like a live gig with like quite a big German rapper called Chef Cat.
Right.
And then like a cypher. So the gig actually ran from I landed in Germany at about, well, certainly this isn't the Nils one, this is the Maniac one, but I landed in Germany at 9 o'clock in the evening, and then the gig, my battle was at about 10.
Okay.
So I literally went straight from the airport in a taxi and just got on stage basically, but it went on till about 6 in the morning.
Damn.
It was more like a club night than a battle night. That was really, really cool, and it was a similar kind of vibe to the Nils McSkills event. It was, I mean, both events are very smoky. Like you could just smoke inside and smoke whatever you liked inside, that kind of situation. Yeah. So it was quite a smoky room. Everyone was really chilled out, and yeah, I mean, the only difference is really that they're not used to seeing, people from the Don't Flop roster. So you get people are a lot more actively coming up to you, because I was never at that level of oh man, let's go and have a picture with Mos Prob. That just sounds, to anyone that knows me, that just sounds absolutely ridiculous.
You're playing yourself down, man. You were a big figure in Don't Flop. You were a big figure.
No, but that's the thing. I was, until you put the Lunar Seas and O'Shea's and Tony D's of the world.
Gods, you're a demigod.
I'll take demigods. I'll take God with flaws.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very nice to sort of be received and have people still even more engaged in the UK scene than a lot of people here. It's a really interesting environment over there. I would urge anyone to go and battle for Don't Let the Label you as well. I've had 2 fantastic experiences performing for them.
Yeah, no, it's and this is again really good battle. Obviously, Nils' skills, as we say, proper established. The first is a little awkward on his point. No, it's just not much is connecting. I think his final rounds are a little bit better. He plays a lot on the German crowd being tough, for Jewish jokes. Talks about rabbis sucking foreskin, etc. And you have really, really nice flips in here as well. You say that you quote, you say it's awkward to come here to Berlin and approach me with angles of varying Jewishness. It's just a little awkward that it's an Aryan doing it, which is really nice. Another
so
scene
Aryan,
on the room.
Man.
Yeah, he's very Aryan. He's very Aryan.
Varian.
You go in on his also on his quite, I mean, we can say it was his battle with Ogmios was a bit of a disappointment. And
I couldn't sit through it, man. I love.
Yeah.
I mean, from earlier on, I love Ogmios, and obviously, I was hyped to be battling Nils, but it's the same way with Unanimous versus Disaster. It's 2 people that's clearly their styles are so lined up that it's just not it doesn't quite hit home the way it should.
No, I agree. Yeah, it's the immovable object meets the immovable object. It just wasn't very engaging. Apart from they both talk about a secret door in the stage, and that's quite funny. But literally, apart from that line and Nils' flip of that line, it's just, and then it has that awkward moment where Ogmios picks him up, and it's just kind of, I don't know. It's like he didn't really know what to do, so he just thought, yeah, I might as well pick him up. Why not? But yeah, it wasn't that good, and also really made me laugh in your second, where you're basically talking about being the best Norwegian at battling is like being the best whatever, and you're like, aren't you 36? Don't you have active first-hand memories of disco? Which is just a really, really funny line. You end with your non-slogan, which you've kind of been playing with throughout your career. Obviously, slogans for Don't Flop rappers are pretty much mute, really. Maybe Shy's is kind of okay. Quills is famously awful. I'm trying to think of other ones, really. But, I mean, the slogan game...
Villain. Chill, villain. Seriously? Yeah, like, it's fine for other people to say that. The moment you jump on that, it becomes a dick move.
That's true. And, I mean, I've got you winning this. I like Nils's skills, but I think you beat him here. And, like, I mean, how are your thoughts on this clash? Are you looking back on this as... Was this more... It was great to be in Berlin and to be asked back, or is this a battle in of itself that you're proud of?
I am proud of having actually the context and being invited. Like, I never thought I'd get to the point where I was battling, quite an established international name. It was. I felt great about it going in. In all honesty, it's one of those clashes that I think could have gone either way. I do think I took it solely on the fact that essentially my third round was actually a legitimately strong round, but the problem from the first one, the first time over in Berlin, I kind of not dumbed it down, but I sort of held back a bit.
Yeah.
But just because I wasn't sure whether everyone would get it, and like people were really getting on with it, so I was like, right, I'm not gonna like patronise them this time or anything like that. I just wanted to, write to my full capability. I was battling Nils Smith's skills. I wasn't going to hold back. And I think that actually did hold me back in the fifth round, because he is a Norwegian. Like, he is a European translating as he goes. He's naturally slower. He naturally talks in that cadence and that structure that Europeans not speaking English as a native language go to. And that's, I thought it would play into my hands, like, oh, well, you're all as good as him because you're translating into a language listening, and he's translating into it talking, so he's not the special one in the room anymore. But it actually meant that they could relate to him a bit better, because he was speaking in a structure that they were familiar to, and I was kind of writing as if I was in the UK with an audience that would understand the little kind of nuances and stuff. So it wasn't... I think that's one of my more slept-on rounds.
It is, yeah.
Saying that, it's again the kind of battle that I love putting on, which is where it doesn't really matter if I won or not. It was, all round just a strong, enjoyable clash. That's it. At the end of the day, it's just similar to the Ogmios one. Except in the Ogmios one, I definitely lost.
You had battled overseas again. You battled for Cushion Coffins, is that right?
Yes, indeed. That was awesome, actually. I really... That was... Getting to battle an American is just... There's something... Once you've done it, no matter who it is or how big they are, you feel that you have represented yourself, even against, like, even over battling someone from Norway or Germany. Like, you feel... I mean, America's where it all came from. To battle someone from that culture is a huge step.
Yeah.
I loved Cushion Coffins. It was obviously Colorado. Colorado is a fun state for many, many, many reasons.
Yeah.
And it was in the middle of like an Irish pub, which was filled with truckers until about 5 minutes before the rapping started. And then the entire demographic of the pub changed. Yeah, it was cool. I loved battling abroad, to be honest. Like, I've kind of told myself I wasn't really going to be doing any more UK clashes. I was just going to battle overseas. And I've actually been invited out there again. Yeah, but it's just a case of finding the time. And there were talks. Obviously, it was nowhere near confirmed, and like most battle rap stuff, it's probably going to fall through. There were talks of having me versus Sid Vicious.
Oh wow!
For their like flagship sort of bigger name league. So that would be quite fun if that comes across.
That'd be amazing. So we'll wrap up as we always do with a few quickfire questions.
Yeah.
What's your favourite King of the Dot battle, Mos?
Pat Stay versus either the Thesaurus or Head Ice
That's a good battle, the Head
or
Ice one.
Holohan. Yeah. Literally, he's got so many classic battles.
You're a big Pat Stay fan. I never would have predicted that.
You know what though? He's such a succinct writer, and he doesn't really. I mean, he was the champion 3 times in a row for a reason. Like he was.
Yeah.
He's just he has so many weapons in his arsenal. Like he's funnier than most of like the deliberately funny battlers you see. He's scarier than most of the scary battles, and he's more like concise and intelligent than most of the intelligent battles I know. He's got everything. Him versus Soul would be awe-inspiring.
Yeah, that would be a great clash.
I honestly don't see Soul taking that either. It's just Pat Stay's got too much swag. He's too much of a presence. But yeah, him, Sharon versus Kruger is one of my favourites as well. I just think that Sharon at pretty much his best and Kruger at his absolute best. Favourite King of the Dot battles, and again Soul versus Sketch Menace. That's
a funny battle, yeah.
Oh, it is, and like the points about like I love it when not necessarily it's a battler exposing something, but exposing something about the writing style. And Soul's was that all of the books he was referencing were actually made into TV shows. So he was like, it was like Sketch's whole angle, and like no one liked Sketch Menace before this point. But Sketch's whole angle of just, I like the show. I like the show, but I like the book better. Or so it was just like pointing out that Soul was trying to seem literate, and yeah, it really, really worked as an angle. It was absolutely hilarious, that whole battle.
So, do you have a favourite URL battle? I'm going to assume not.
Loaded Lux versus Calico is very, very, very good. You can't really fault Lux's writing in that. A lot of the Summer Madness, I think it was Summer Madness 2, with that event, when I was like really heavily getting into like global battle rap and learning about it, and that for me was a really good event in terms of just the material there, but it does all blend into one, and it's all of these beefs that I can't keep any track of. It's a different style of rapping, and it's definitely one that's less approachable for me. I'm not from a street background. I don't get a lot of the drugs references. I don't get a lot of like different ways to shoot people.
Any number, that's a gun.
Any number, that's very true. I'll hit you with the 942.
That's that common denominator shit.
Yeah.
So just to brush up as well, I'm gonna guess your favourite film is probably The Room. I always ask people their favourite film, but you've referenced it quite a fair bit.
The Room, yes. Toy Story is up there.
Oh my! In my eyes, the all-time perfect script. That film is literally watertight from start to finish.
It just can't be. And like for a film that good to spawn 2 sequels that good, they can't put. I mean, I'm not even worried about Toy Story 4. That's how good they are as films. The Raid films are up there for me as well. It just depends what mood I'm in.
Yeah.
What's it called? There's absolutely bizarre. I'm sure I've got it here. Hold on. I Saw the Devil. Have you heard of that?
I haven't.
That is like an absolutely savage Korean like murder revenge movie. It's like those films where they're chasing the revenge for the whole film, and then they have to get through a bunch of bad guys, and then they find the big guy that gave the order or whatever. This film's basically they find the guy in like 5 minutes and then proceed to just beat him to within an inch of his life and keep letting him go just so they can chase him again and beat him up again. This guy like killed someone's wife or whatever. And yeah, it's just one of those films that like there is no redeeming qualities to the murderer guy, but you start to feel really bad for him. And it's one of those ones that just forces you to think every time. But yeah, long story short, Toy Story, the 2 Raid movies, The Room, and I Saw the Devil.
What juxtaposition! That's brilliant. And finally, your favourite musical artist or band that is not hip hop
like
related.
ever, or
I guess at the moment, what are you currently playing a lot?
I'm listening to a lot of Three Trapped Tigers, the new one. New one's Silent Earthling, and their first like full album, which was Route One or Die, is they're both just completely unhinged. But
yeah, that numbers release they did was awesome as well.
But the thing is, Route One or Die is more like that, where it's kind of more angular and still feels a little bit piecemeal in a good way, like jumping from thing to thing. Whereas like Silent Earthling is just really big, solid, like almost video game soundtracks with just synths and it's beautiful. I'm going to see him in Brighton, 3rd of May, if anyone wants to come with me at the Haunt.
Oh, terrific! Awesome. I have to check their tour dates. Actually, I hope they're coming around.
I reckon they would do.
Or London, it will be as inevitably they always get soaked up by that city. But all right, well that wraps it up. I just want to say thank you again, Mos. For being on. This has been brilliant, and obviously anyone listening, please check out all the battles we've discussed. Mos Prob has an unbelievably consistent back catalogue, and if you just got if you listen to this, you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go work in half an hour or whatever, just sit down and either watch Mos Prob versus Ogmios or Mos Prob versus Soul. Those are 2 genuine recent classics of Don't Flop. They are brilliant from back to front. They are 6 clean rounds and so funny and just really intelligent and brilliant. And thank you for doing those battles. You give me so much entertainment personally. I'm sure hundreds of thousands of other people as well.
Appreciate it, man.
If you want to get in contact with the show, no, of course. If you want to get in contact with the show as well, at battlerapresume, all one word, on Twitter. Also battlerapresume@gmail if you want to email us. And on YouTube, I'm uploading compilation after compilation now. So we got on the Battle Rap Resume YouTube channel, we have the best of Kruger early years, the 25 greatest Chiller Jones schemes. I just uploaded a compilation of the Road to the Don't Flop title, which sums up all the battles coming up to Raptor v Soul, which by the time this episode is released, that battle would have happened. And I'm putting my money on Soul, but history, let me see how wrong I am or right
honestly,
I am. And Raptor maybe makes more sense.
Raptor could take it. The thing is, Soul has been so consistently good for so long that he's not really on an ascendancy. He's just got his whole sort of untouchable field, whereas Raptor is just one of the hungriest performers I've seen. Whether it's all before, he seems like, in his music and in his actual whole demeanour, he is actually like that. But if he's not, he puts on an amazing show of making sure that it's just, he goes in wanting to win. And if it's a title match, it's going to drag the absolute best out of Raptor. I see Soul losing it in a really weird way. I back Soul to the hill. But...
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Definitely the momentum's against Soul. And there's going to be more disappointment if Raptor doesn't win. But I just want to see what Soul can do. Because Soul, just in his C Major rounds, he was attacking the history of British battle rap more than C Major. It felt mythic. It was existential, some of the things he was going for. I'd never seen anything like it in battling. It was unbelievable. And he can't really do that again. Like, he could kind of use the 2012 Killer Crop angle on Raptor, kind of. Because Raptor has been battling a long time, not only on Don't Flop. But... what is he going to say? And I could just see Raptor having a bit more of an interesting attack on Soul. But regardless, that is for another Battle Rap Resume.
Can I do a shameless plug as well?
Please plug away.
So I've just put together an EP. It took 4 years to do 5 songs. And it's called Good Grief. It's genuinely really good. And it's at felman.bandcamp.com. So that's FELMAN. It's a free download, but if you donate, profits go to Mind, the mental health charity. It took me a long time, and a long time as well, just to shake off the comedy rap thing. But it's enabled me to put together something I'm genuinely proud of, and I want to share with people. So yeah, go get involved, check it out.
Oh, fantastic! No, I'll definitely be checking that out. And yeah, thank you so much again. And yeah, guys, keep listening to Battle Rap Resume, keep watching Battle Rap, and schmack.
And yes, I'm a walking casualty, but you were sliced off your leftical for a walk-on in casualty. Because your head is round, it blows my mind.
You sad transatlantic flights don't have a cycling option. I'm all up in your face like sinus problems, yeah? It ain't like you to face me, I do this daily. I got a gun so big it's a ukulele. I rock size, deadlocked the bed dot on the headshot. Went on spotlight to try and take a shot at your headshot.